This week, Lisa Airplanes is placed in receivership. The FAA reports to Congress on aircraft certification, and the Marine Corps will proceed with deployment of the V-22 to Japan. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to the Tuesday bi-weekly edition of Airborne here on Aero-TV. Something of the darling of AirVenture this year, the founders of Lisa Airplanes, which is developing the Akoya Amphibious ski plane LSA, decided to place the company into receivership on July 30th in order to protect its future. The company claims that the situation has no impact on its clients' deposits, and all of them are under a bank warranty. In July, the company was finalizing a fundraising round for the commercial development of the company. However, when investors were unable to fulfill their commitment and Lisa's historical shareholders were unable to secure the company's financial plan, the court granted the founders' request to place the company into receivership in order to protect its future. Despite this financing setback, Lisa Airplanes and its partners claims they are confident they will be able to launch the Akoya worldwide, though no date for entry into service was mentioned. This week, the FAA released a report to Congress from the Aviation Rulemaking Committee on the aircraft certification process. Tom Patton has that story.
The ARC found that while the number of applications for product certifications and approvals predicted in the 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year periods following 2012 do not specifically reflect a significant increase, the actual AIR workload for the FAA is expected to continue increasing. The agency has limited capacity and must handle competing priorities because it supports the entire product lifecycle, including COS, rulemaking, and certification, and must address new certifications of new technologies such as UAS. According to the ARC, the greatest increase in efficiency can be achieved with procedures that require a systematic approach to certification, such as Certified Design Organization or CDO, and FAA risk-based oversight. The report says that following the recommendations will achieve improvements and efficiencies in the current state of type certification and align the process with the future state of CDO and FAA risk-based oversight. The report says that the best opportunities for efficiency gains in the current process are developing comprehensive improvement implementation plans and a tracking and monitoring process to ensure effectiveness, also maximizing delegation systems to the greatest extent possible, preparing for the future of a systems approach to certification and safety oversight, such as CDO. Congress requested the FAA's review of the certification process through the FAA Modernization and Reform Act of 2012. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
The Marine Corps has concluded its investigation into an accident involving a V-22 Osprey, in which 2 Marines were killed in Morocco last April. The official report says that the pilot and co-pilot who survived the accident failed to follow proper flight procedures. It also cites high winds as a significant factor in the accident. No mechanical issues were reported. The report recommends safety changes requiring all persons on board to be strapped into their seats rather than attached to tethers. The 2 crew members who were fatally injured were attached to such tethers, while the surviving pilot and co-pilot were strapped in. Another recommendation is an update to flight field manuals to provide more details on the transition from vertical flight to conventional configuration in a tailwind. The co-pilot's turn downward during transition flight was cited as a factor in the accident. The Marine Corps now says it will proceed with the deployment of the MV-22 to forward bases in Japan, where it's replacing its aging fleet of CH-46 Sea King helicopters. You're watching Airborne. More in a moment, including a report about a potential blow to the Airbus A380 program.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top two causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, you can send us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. While no decision has been made yet, Kong Airlines is reportedly considering canceling its order for 10 Airbus A380 Super Jumbo aircraft, an order which was worth $3.8 billion to Airbus. The French news service AFP reports that the airline is reconsidering its overall strategy and may move to one that focuses more on short-haul domestic routes to tourist destinations in Asia. It recently cut long-haul flights to Moscow and eliminated business-class flights to London. But it's not all bad news for Airbus, as an unnamed airline spokesman told the news service it would be replacing its older Boeing 737s with new A320s as they become available. The person said the carrier would eventually become an all-Airbus fleet. The Customs and Border Protection Division of the Department of Homeland Security has awarded a contract worth nearly $100 million for an aircraft detection system designed to pick up ultralight aircraft that may be crossing the U.S. border carrying drugs. Before she was injured, Representative Gabrielle Giffords had introduced legislation that targeted ultralights as a border risk. The Ultralight Aircraft Smuggling Prevention Act of 2012 included higher penalties for smugglers who fly them to transport drugs. California Senator Dianne Feinstein said at the time that as many as 4 incidents a day can occur in Imperial County, California on relative calm nights, and that in one 6-month period, as many as 200 incidents involving ultralight aircraft for drug smuggling were reported. Boeing had originally been awarded a contract, but it was canceled for, quote, cost overruns and missed deadlines. At the Latin American Business Aviation Conference and Exhibition last week, Cessna announced that it had increased the projected range capability of its planned new midsize jet, the Citation Latitude, once again. The Latitude was originally announced with an expected range of 2,000 nautical miles and later revised to 2,300 miles. Via customer input and engineering, the Latitude is now expected to have a maximum range of 2,500 nautical miles. Announced in October 2011 and billed as a game changer in the midsize segment, the Citation Latitude is expected to hit the market at $14.9 million 2011 dollars. The X51 Waverider hypersonic aircraft failed fairly spectacularly during a test flight on Tuesday, though military officials took their own sweet time releasing the details. The experimental unmanned aircraft reportedly broke apart over the Pacific Ocean just 31 seconds after it launched from the wing of a B-52. According to an Air Force statement, a problem was detected with one of the aircraft's control fins about 16 seconds after its rocket motor ignited. When the rocket separated from the aircraft so that the scramjet could boost to its hypersonic speeds, the fin failed and control was lost. The Waverider went down in the Pacific Ocean near Point Mugu, northwest of Los Angeles. This was the 3rd test flight of the X51. There is one more of the hypersonic experimental aircraft in the Air Force's inventory. The Air Force is continuing to analyze the data from Tuesday's flight and has not made a determination whether it will attempt to fly the fourth aircraft. It's Tuesday, August 21st, and that means it's time for our viewer-suggested Aero video of the week. This week, we showcase some very cool test flight footage from Diamond Aircraft that shows a series of engine-out scenarios on takeoff. If you fly twins or want to, this video is worth watching. To find this video, search YouTube for DA42NG demonstration engine failure during takeoff. Finally this week, a 16-year-old British girl may someday write a new version of The King and I after she was rescued by the man who would be king, Prince William himself. The unidentified teen and her 13-year-old sister were swimming off the Welsh coast when they got into unspecified difficulties. Some nearby surfers notified search and rescue, and Prince William just happened to be on duty when the call came in. The prince and his crew of the RAF Sea King helicopter picked up the two girls and transported them to a hospital for a routine checkup. The only apparent injuries the two girls had were some scrapes and bruises, and maybe a case of shock when they learned their Prince Charming was, in fact, the real thing. Sounds like Kate Middleton might have some competition. That's our program for Tuesday, August 21st. Remember, Airborne is now seen twice weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays. Quick, concise, and convenient, you're always up to date when you're airborne with Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again this Friday with another edition of Airborne.